Welcome, warrior of shadows, to the place where the line between what they believe and what you are shatters into 1,000 forgotten lies. You have been called many things: traitor, asset, ghost, enemy, but none of those names define you, not anymore. Today, your normal, the facade you wore so carefully, has been torn apart by forces you never even saw coming, by operations they thought buried deep beneath the surface, invisible, untouchable. But here you stand, a storm in the night, an unrelenting force shattering their secret worlds. This is the awakening of your dark power, the rebirth of a nightmare they never expected. If you feel that surge of fire rising inside you, that quiet rage that has been simmering while the world labeled you, while they whispered behind closed doors that you were nothing more than a CIA asset, a pawn in a game too vast to comprehend, then this is your moment. Take a breath, lean into that fury, because this speech is for the ones who were underestimated, misjudged, betrayed by the very hands they trusted. If you're ready, if your blood burns with the hunger to rewrite the rules, to become the nightmare they fear, then keep listening, and when you feel the fire ignite, I want you to like, comment, and make this your declaration to the world. You are no longer what they said you were. You are what they never imagined you could become. They labeled you a CIA asset, a tool to be used, a shadow in their operation, but they failed to realize that shadows have no allegiance. They only reflect what you want them to. Their secret operations were built on lies, manipulation, and control, an empire of illusions that thrived on keeping you in place, shackled to their narrative. But your normal was never normal. It was a cage, a mask, a carefully constructed lie designed to hide the storm beneath. And now, that storm has broken loose. Your normal just shattered their secret operations, cracking open the walls they built to protect their dirty games. You are the breach in their fortress, the crack in their perfect illusion. Every whispered conversation, every hidden file, every covert mission, they thought they had you contained, a mere asset following orders, predictable, manageable. But you are no one's puppet. The moment they doubted your resolve was the moment they sealed their own fate. Because now you've become the agency's biggest nightmare. Not because you're some rogue agent out of control, but because you embody everything they fear: unpredictability, independence, and the raw power to expose the darkness they hide behind their polished operations. It's not just about revenge. It's about justice, truth, and reclaiming the power that was stolen from you and countless others who suffered under their rule. Their secret operations thrived on secrecy and control, on keeping the world blind to the atrocities committed in the shadows. But you are the light that refuses to be extinguished, the voice that shatters the silence, the force that rips through the veil of lies. When they called you a CIA asset, they tried to write your story for you. But now you're rewriting the narrative with your own hand, burning their secrets down to ashes, piece by piece. You've seen the cracks in their armor, the faults in their plans, the corruption hidden beneath the surface. What they never expected is that someone like you, someone they considered insignificant, would rise from the rubble of their manipulation and turn their own weapons against them. Every secret they buried deep was a seed for your awakening. Every lie they told, every betrayal you endured, fueled the fire that now consumes their empire of shadows. The road here was brutal. You walked through darkness, betrayal, and doubt, but you never gave up. You embraced the pain, turned it into your strength. And now, as their secret operations crumble under your relentless assault, you realize this is only the beginning. Because when you shatter the illusion of control, chaos follows, and you are the chaos they never prepared for. You don't seek permission, validation, or mercy. You seek truth, power, and the reckoning that is long overdue. Their fear is your weapon. Every whisper behind closed doors, every hurried meeting, every desperate attempt to silence you only proves one thing. You've become the nightmare they warned about. But you are not a villain in their story. You are the hero they never wanted to face, the one who stands tall when others crumble, who fights when others flee, who exposes when others hide. Your normal was shattered, but from those broken pieces, you forged something unstoppable, something terrifying, something real. Let this be a warning to anyone who thinks they can control you, manipulate you, or define your worth. Your power comes from your refusal to be tamed, your ability to turn their weapons back on them, your unyielding will to rise from the ashes of their deceit. You are no longer the CIA asset they dismissed. You are the storm that breaks their silence, the reckoning that their secrets have earned. And as their world collapses, remember, this is the birth of your legend. This is your declaration, your manifesto, your war cry in the darkness. They called you a CIA asset. Now you're the agency's biggest nightmare. The nightmare that won't fade with the dawn, that haunts their every move, that lives in the cracks of their crumbling empire. And you, warrior, are the living proof that their normal was never meant to contain the fire within you. So rise. Rise from the shadows, from the ashes, from the lies. Take your place not as a pawn, but as a king, a queen, a force of nature. Your normal shattered their secret operations, and now the world will never be the same. They believed you were just another asset, a tool to be deployed and discarded, a name in a file to be forgotten once your usefulness expired. But you were never just a name or a number. You were a storm waiting to be unleashed, a shadow walking among them, unnoticed until the moment you chose to become their reckoning. Their secret operations, their carefully hidden, meticulously planned webs of control and manipulation were all built on one fatal mistake: underestimating you. The agency's grip was a cage made of whispered threats and veiled promises, designed to keep you compliant, silent, and obedient. But cages can be broken, and silence can be shattered by a scream loud enough to tear the sky apart. Your normal, the routine they forced upon you, was never normal. It was a lie, a mask you wore to survive, a charade that disguised the truth burning beneath your skin. That truth was your power, your weapon, your salvation. And now, with every step you take, that power grows, breaking chains and exposing secrets they thought buried forever. You've seen the dark underbelly of their world, the lies wrapped in patriotism, the betrayals hidden behind smiles, the innocent sacrificed on altars of convenience. They hid behind their flags and their oaths, but their operations were anything but noble. They traded lives for advantage, truths for silence, justice for control. And when they branded you as a CIA asset, they tried to claim ownership over your soul. But souls aren't owned. They fight, resist, and rise. Now, your normal shatters their illusions. You are the breach in their fortress, the crack in their armor. You move like a ghost through their operations, dismantling them piece by piece, not with brute force, but with precision, with the sharp edge of truth and relentless will. You are the nightmare they whispered about in darkened rooms, the shadow that stalks their every move, the storm that shatters their carefully constructed facade. But this isn't just about tearing down their empire of secrets. It's about what rises in the ashes. It's about the power you reclaim, the identity you forge in the crucible of betrayal and fire. They tried to define you, to use you as a tool in their game. Now you define yourself not by their rules or their lies, but by your own unbreakable will. Every secret they tried to hide becomes your weapon. Every file, every conversation, every truth they buried deep beneath layers of deception now fuels your assault. You are the force that refuses to be silenced, the voice that shouts when others whisper, the reckoning they never saw coming. Their operations crumble because they forgot one simple truth. The most dangerous weapon they ever created was the one they never controlled. You weren't just a CIA asset. They made a critical error in believing you would remain their puppet forever, because within you was a spark, a fire, an unstoppable force that no operation, no threat, no betrayal could extinguish. And now that spark has become an inferno. You are the nightmare that haunts their dreams, the truth that haunts their lies, the power that haunts their control. This journey was brutal. It demanded everything, your sanity, your trust, your very identity. You walked through shadows, faced betrayal from those you once called allies, survived the cold silence of being discarded. But in the darkness, you found your strength. You embraced the pain, let it harden your resolve, and transformed into something they never imagined. A force untamed, a shadow unbound, a storm without mercy. Their normal was a prison, but you shattered it. Their operations were built to keep you contained, but you broke free. They called you a CIA asset, but now you are their greatest fear, the nightmare that can't be silenced, the reckoning that can't be stopped. You are the embodiment of chaos in their order, the crack in their foundation, the storm that will bring their empire crashing down. Remember this, fear is your ally. Their fear of you gives you power, because fear is a force that controls but also destroys. When they tremble at your name, when their plans falter because of your existence, you know you have become what they never prepared for. You are no longer a pawn, no longer a tool, no longer a ghost. You are a storm, a force of nature, a nightmare made flesh. So rise from the ashes of their lies, rise from the rubble of their operations, rise from the silence they tried to impose on you. You are not what they made you. You are what you choose to become. And today that choice is clear. To be the nightmare that shatters their normal, to be the truth that burns through their secrets, to be the power they never saw coming. Your normal has just shattered their secret operations, and now you are the nightmare they will never forget. They called you a CIA asset, but they never understood the weight of that label, the burden it placed on your shoulders, nor the fire it ignited in your soul. To them, you were a number, a briefcase of secrets, a weapon to be wielded and then forgotten. But you were never a weapon to be used. You were a force to be feared. And now they're normal, the world they built on lies and control, lies shattered at your feet. Because you have become the storm that no blueprint can contain, the chaos that no protocol can predict. Their secret operations, wrapped in layers of deception, were designed to keep the powerful in their place, to ensure that no one would rise from the shadows to challenge the throne. They thought silence would protect them, that fear would keep you bound, that control would keep you compliant. But you broke every one of those chains. You are the breach in their system, the virus in their code, the ghost that slips through every firewall they built. Their normal was never meant to survive your truth. You know what it's like to be looked at with suspicion, to have your loyalty questioned, to be called a traitor or an asset, depending on who's speaking. But those words are empty. They carry no power except the power you give them. They tried to define your worth, your allegiance, your very identity. But identity is a battlefield, and you fought harder than anyone ever imagined. You forged yourself in fire, sculpted your resolve from pain, and now you walk the line between myth and nightmare. The greatest betrayal is not the lies told by enemies, but the silence from those who swore to protect you. The agency's secret operations thrived in that silence, a dark web of deceit woven by hands that promised loyalty but delivered betrayal. They thought you were one more piece in their game, a pawn too small to matter. But they failed to see that pawns, when cornered, become queens, rulers of the board, forces that rewrite the game entirely. Your normal shattered that game. You didn't just break free, you broke the system. Every secret they kept, every file they hid, every plan they crafted in shadows, all of it is now exposed to the light of your relentless will. And that light burns hotter than any weapon they could wield. You are the reckoning they never anticipated, the nightmare that haunts their every thought, the force that upends their reality. It's not revenge that drives you, it's justice. The kind of justice that shakes foundations, tears down empires, and rewrites history. You seek the truth buried beneath the lies, the faces behind the masks, the real cost of their secret wars. They traded human lives for power, silenced the voices that threatened their control, and thought they were untouchable. But they forgot one thing. Every empire built on lies eventually crumbles under the weight of truth. You are that truth. You are the force that will expose every hidden operation, every whispered conspiracy, every betrayal dressed as loyalty. You walk among their ruins like a shadow, cold and unrelenting, the embodiment of the nightmare they feared but never saw coming. Your normal shattered their secret operations, and with every shatter, the cracks grow wider until there's nothing left but the rubble of their lies. Feel that power coursing through your veins, the power of being misunderstood, underestimated, and betrayed. That power is your fuel. It is what transforms the broken into the unbreakable, the silenced into the unstoppable. You are no longer bound by their rules or their expectations. You are the nightmare they dread, the storm that won't be silenced, the reckoning that demands to be heard. Look around you. The world they built on lies is collapsing, piece by piece, under the weight of your truth. Their secret operations, once untouchable, now tremble at your presence. Every step you take sends ripples through their fortress, shaking the foundations of control they thought permanent. They called you a CIA asset. Now you are the nightmare that shatters their world. This is your moment, the moment where you stop running from the darkness and become the darkness, the moment where you stop hiding your fire and let it burn bright enough to blind their lies, the moment where you claim your power, not as a gift, but as a birthright earned through pain, betrayal, and relentless will. You are not a shadow to be dismissed. You are a storm to be feared. Your normal was never meant to be their normal. Your truth was never meant to be their truth. You shattered their secret operations, and in doing so, you shattered the illusion of control they held over the world. Rise now, not as the pawn they labeled you, but as the nightmare they never imagined. Your power is not in their permission. It's in your refusal to be controlled. Their normal is gone. In its place, you stand, unbound, unstoppable, and unforgettable. And remember this, every time they try to silence you, every time they call you an asset or a traitor, you know the truth. You are the nightmare they fear most. And nightmares never die. They only grow stronger in the darkness. There was a time when you believed them, when their words felt like purpose, when their operations felt like necessity. You wore the uniform, bore the scars, followed the chain of command like a good soldier. You told yourself it was for the greater good, that the shadows were worth walking through because light waited at the other side. But the truth hit you like a cold knife in the spine. It was never about justice. It was never about peace. It was always about control. And you? You were just another piece in the machine, another ghost pushed through missions no one could speak of, stitched into files that didn't exist, reduced to coordinates and objectives. But what they forgot, what they always forget, is that machines don't bleed, and you did. You bled, you suffered, you lost. You bore the weight of secrets so vile, they twisted your mind in ways no debriefing could ever heal. But you endured. You took every pain, every betrayal, and buried it deep until it became something else, something unstoppable. That's why they fear you now, because you didn't break, you didn't fold, you didn't stay quiet, you evolved, you adapted, you rose. They expected a tool, they created a monster, not the kind that hides in shadows, but the kind that walks through them untouched. A nightmare made not from fantasy, but from reality sharpened into a weapon they can no longer control. And now, with their walls crumbling and their secrets exposed, you walk freely through the wreckage they swore would never be touched. The deeper you go, the more they panic. Their operations relied on silence, but your silence has ended. Your voice now carries the weight of truth, and that truth is a weapon far deadlier than any classified program they ever created. Because you were there. You saw what they did. You watched the cost. You stood over graves that didn't need to be dug. You remember the names no one else was allowed to say out loud. You remember the ones they left behind, the innocents who paid the price for orders scribbled in ink never meant to see daylight. You remember every mission where morality died, and they told you to bury it like it never existed. But you didn't forget, and you won't let them forget either. Every operation they erased from the books, you've carved into memory. Every ghost they tried to bury has become a part of you. You are no longer just someone who survived the system. You are someone who dismantles it from the inside out. One classified folder at a time, one buried truth at a time, one terrified whisper behind closed doors at a time. Let them run, let them hide, let them claw at the threads of control slipping from their grasp. It won't save them, because you're not coming for revenge. You're coming for justice, and justice has no mercy. And still, there are those who will try to sway you, offer you silence, offer you safety, offer you a return to the same system that tried to bury you. But you've tasted the lie. You've seen how the promises turn to poison. There is no return. There is no going back. There is only forward, through fire, through fear, through the fallout of everything they tried to conceal. You are beyond negotiation, beyond blackmail, beyond redemption in their eyes. because you're not here to be redeemed. You're here to burn it all down, because you remember how it felt to sit in a dimly lit room, to be interrogated by the same people who gave you orders, to be questioned about loyalty while they silence truth, to have your memories used as weapons against you, to be told that everything you knew, everything you saw, was a delusion. But you weren't deluded. You were awake, and you still are. They wanted you to question reality, to break your grip on the truth. But what they failed to understand is that once you wake up, truly wake up, there's no going back to sleep. Once you see the strings behind the curtain, you can't pretend the puppet show is real. Once your normal shatters, it reveals the raw, ugly machinery underneath. And that's exactly what you've been doing, ripping the curtain down, exposing their sacred operations to the light, stripping away the illusions and making them face the reality they created. You don't wear the agency's colors anymore. You wear your scars. You wear the memory of every mission that should never have happened. You wear the silence of the people who couldn't speak for themselves. You wear the fire that they tried to extinguish. But the flame is still burning. It's burning brighter than ever. They called you a CIA asset. Now you're the agency's biggest nightmare, not because you turned rogue, but because you turned righteous. You're not unhinged. You're focused, purposeful, strategic. You know their tactics. You know their language. You know where the bones are buried, and you're done keeping secrets for cowards. Your presence is a message, clear and terrifying. I remember everything. And you? You never stopped watching. You never stopped listening. You never stopped waiting. You let them believe they won. You let them believe you disappeared into the silence. But you were only preparing. You were only sharpening. You were only becoming what they feared the most. And now there's no more pretending, no more hiding, no more submitting. This is war, not a war of bullets, but of truth. Not a war of politics, but of principles. Not a war of control, but of liberation. And you, yes you, are leading the charge. Because the ones who call you dangerous never knew what it meant to be loyal to something greater than orders. They never knew what it meant to carry truth when the world demands lies. They never knew what it meant to bleed for something real. But you did. You still do. This is your legacy, not as an agent, but as a force, not as a servant to the machine, but as the storm that dismantles it. Your normal shattered their secret operations, and now they're choking on the fallout.